And we are live. Episode 2 of the Red Rover podcast is somehow in the ether and existing. I don't know how my channel is not blocked after the conversation between me and Shaggy last week. I will never know. Even worse, we doubled our list. How the heck did that happen? Anyway, so as always, I'm Adam, aka CSRadical. We've got 3 people with me today, right off the bat. First two-timer, mainly because he's got nothing better to do like me. Shaggy, welcome back.
Oh.
He's like, nah, Minecraft, too busy. Next, we got F Sergeant. Oh my god, this is why I need the chat. I forgot the numbers. F Sergeant something. 332. There we go.
Hey. How are we doing tonight?
Yeah, that was a nice little lag spike at the end there. I don't know if that was my end or not. Not important. I have a menacing mommy here. How's it going?
Good, thank you.
So, weather, considering that for most of us, the temperature decided to go from not shit to holy crap, it's fucking cold. What happened?
See, mine was the opposite, but I do get that Saturday. Same here.
See here, like Celsius-wise, we dropped a good 20 degrees in like maybe 6 hours, which I think Fahrenheit is maybe what, 40, 50 almost? Yeah, 40, 50 degrees almost? It's... I got lucky. I was supposed to actually leave work at but instead it got so dead that I left at 4. So thankfully, I got out just before it had really gotten cold, because now it's minus 10 plus outside. So it's ridiculously cold, which means that, you know, any driving is just not a good idea. Because my theory was, okay, if I leave at 6, at least maybe the salt trucks might have gone out at least once or twice, and most of the traffic will be done. I left at 4. There was like, fuck all. It was still like mostly slush. I'm like, okay, I can deal with this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just stayed home.
Well, I guess they were the smart ones. I didn't really get the choice.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I was walking downtown Toronto in all the snow and everything. It's fantastic.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'm still happy because most of it's gone. Like, pretty much I got up this morning, walked outside. I'm like, hey, it's grass. I like seeing grass. It means it's not, I don't have to worry about, like, falling face first into cold powder.
The weather around here is just up and down all the time.
Well, that's the thing too. Like we basically had 3-4 days of really warm weather, and all in like the, I don't know, maybe accumulated like 30 centimeters worth of snow. Just all of a sudden in like 2 days was gone. So I'm like, that's awesome. And then it's like, but it's gonna drop 20 degrees tomorrow. I'm like, shit.
Exactly.
So it's that much snow on the road, and it's all gonna turn to ice. That can't possibly go wrong.
Try that in the southern states.
Yeah, they're all done.
Please, I saw what happened in Texas, for example. They got 1 centimeter of snow, and it was like fucking Armageddon out there.
Well, we got 7.5 inches here in South Carolina, and it tore us up. Because most of the places don't have any kind of like salt trucks or sand trucks.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. I thought you were gonna say, well, most of us don't really have snow tires or anything. I'm like, well, I understand that. But then when you said salt trucks, I'm like, ugh, that's actually pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we can go standstill just because of that. Places shut down because of that.
I was looking at video this morning. There's one of our main bridges that lead into Toronto, and you could literally see like the banks overflowed so much that like there's maybe a foot between the actual bottom of the bridge and the water. It's insane how much like. Damn. But it's all ice now. So it almost, like, I looked at the video, it almost looks like a bunch of piles of garbage underneath the bridge, but it's just ice.
Wow.
So, like, legitimately, like, another couple feet and that bridge could have, well, the Don Valley Parkway bridges, for anybody who knows Toronto, they're already in pretty shit repair as it is, but it didn't need any more reasons. The weather, because that's every icebreaker for a conversation.
It's something us Canadians obsess about.
Well, look, we have nothing else to do.
Well, I mean, it's actually like you're in February and you kind of experience every seasonal weather change.
That is true. I do remember 1 December. I think it was 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where we had a day in December, early December, where it was like almost summer weather. And then 3 weeks later, we had a giant ice storm where I literally watched like every tree almost like crumble because it was just blatant, just like ice statues all over the fucking place. So
I think our hydro was out for like 3 days.
I got lucky where I was. I just got the shit scared out of me because part of the tree that was next to my window fell over. So I just woke up, opened my curtains. There's a giant tree branch in my face. I'm like, ah!
We usually don't get a whole lot of snow. We just get ice. So like if it gets cold enough, you'll just hear trees exploding in the woods.
Yeah, or the whole limb falling down.
Yeah.
I had a big gigantic weeping willow in the backyard, and it had one limb that was stretched from one corner of the yard to the other.
Jeez.
That's how long the limb was. It was a big tree. That ice storm took that whole limb down and then split the tree in half.
Yeah, no, like I remember seeing we lost both of our big trees, which my parents weren't that upset about. It just meant that they didn't have a giant tree blocking the window anymore. But like I remember walking down and I think it's actually still on my channel. Like I got so bored that when I went to go move my car, I realized that there was actually such a thick sheet of ice on my window that I could roll the window down and there would still be ice covering the window. So I got the bright idea, since I'm already like really bored and just trying to find something to do. I started playing I ended up editing a video where I had like Frank Sinatra's version of Let It Snow on, and then I kind of like altered the video or altered the audio so it sounded really demonic. And then it was just a video of me like headbutting the ice out of the window because it was thin enough that I could just like bust my head out and just screaming, "Fuck you, winter!" I wasn't even really that upset until I realized, oh yeah, that means I have to help trying to get all this ice off our driveway, and it took us like 4 hours.
Well, you want to hear some funny stories about living up north? I lived in New Jersey for about 5 years. Parents divorced and my dad got custody of me. So I was the one that got up New Jersey. And he was a southern boy moving up north. And he found a girl and married her. But anyway, I got up there, and first time of snowing, it was nice, pretty. It melted the next day. I didn't have to do anything. A few months later, it snowed really good, and my dad says, "Son, I need you to go shovel out the driveway and the sidewalk." I was like, "Okay, how do you do it?" First, he says, "Well, take the shovel and shovel it." I was like, "Okay." So go downstairs into the garage, grab the dirt shovel, and I start shoveling snow. That for about 5 hours. My dad comes out there and says, "Son, it looks like it's kind of hard." I was like, "It's pretty tedious."
Like, well, what was your idea? Where did you get that inclination to think that?
Yeah, well, he's like, "Well, I'll take over for a little while." Yeah, he did it for about a half an hour and came in and says, "Son, we're going to go out and get a snow shovel this time."
Yeah, I was stuck cleaning.
A lot easier.
Yeah, you tend to be able to pick up a little more that way.
Oh, yes. Go a little bit further.
At that point, he might as well just gone and got you like one of those little tiny like blue plastic shovels you get in the sandbox.
Oh, you want to hear something funny? After I moved, he got a snowblower.
Oh, you.
Yes.
At that point, you just like, son of a bitch.
I mean, when you don't have kids to do your work for you.
Exactly.
I'm not doing the work.
I'm just waiting for my kids to be old enough to do all the work for me.
You kidding me? I was cutting the grass at like 8.
Yeah,
I was 2, man.
I don't know that I trust my 8-year-old with that lawnmower.
Oh, come on.
He's pretty clumsy.
We had a lot of grass.
I remember some of my friends, like, because I used to talk about how, like, back in public school, when I tell my friends, "Oh yeah, I cut the lawn over the weekend," I'm like, "Your parents make you do that?" I'm like, "Hey, I got $20 to go to the local Rogers Video and get me some video game rentals, so I was happy."
Exactly.
I was like, I got to play Mega Man 64 or like Ocarina of Time for a week. I am okay with doing a little bit of grass cutting. But anyway, enough about weather and shoveling snow and doing chores. That's boring speak. So we're all Destiny players, right? At least I think we are still trying to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
for the most part.
I've never quit on Destiny.
I don't think any of us ever quit, and at the same time, I think we're probably the crowd that's not nearly.
Yeah, I've never. I think what I meant to say
like,
is I've never stopped playing. Or wanted to
fair
stop
enough.
playing.
Well, look, at some point, I have to stop and play video games where I can go have sex with aliens. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, that'll happen, I guess.
But obviously, the big deal yesterday was that Bungie released their big. We're going to plan on doing for the next, I don't know, I guess year maybe. And as most people have kind of figured out now, it's like what we read is not necessarily, like big news. It's not, oh my God, this game is amazing again, or it's going to be amazing again. It's just more like, okay, so they're actually going to make a couple changes that might not make the game nearly as annoying.
Right.
At the very least, like I'm just reading over things again. Like the one thing that I laughed when they finally said is like, oh yeah, we're looking at finally putting your fire team members on the destination map. I'm like, you probably should have done that in the first place. That seemed like a pretty silly omission.
It's nice when you're just doing Flashpoint or something, you're doing public events. Where are you, man? And then you say where you're at, and no one knows where the hell you're talking about.
Well, especially in the early going, because just because I said Winding Cove didn't necessarily mean anything, because you're like, I don't fucking know the map.
Yeah.
Now it's just now you just say, the Cabal strike, and everybody's like, oh yeah, okay, I know where you're going.
I mean, even at times people still don't know, but
yeah.
No, I still don't know half the time. I'm one of those people that doesn't even pay attention to most prompts that come up on my screen. I'm just trigger happy.
Yeah.
It's nice to shoot things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what I did appreciate that they did is they kind of went over and saying, hey, this is what we mean by something that you're going to pay for and stuff that's going to be just available for free. Like, stuff to pay for, obviously, a new campaign or strike missions, whole new planets, raids, crucible maps. The only thing that I was a little testy about was when they added new legendary and exotic gear. And my thought process is, what's stopping you from, say, putting one exotic in for free, like, I don't know, just randomly? Like, what's stopping you?
I mean, you would think nothing's stopping them. So.
Especially legendary, though. Like, I figure, like, just even if they just made, like, a couple just different random, like, reskins of the same thing and just kind of added as, like, oh, here's this different perk that it has. Like, I don't see why that's not something they could have done for free. That was the only one that in the expansion section that kind of got me.
I actually never looked through all of this stuff. So.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed over it.
But I know
that's why. That's also why I'm noticing it.
That would be nice if they did that, though. Reskin it and just give it different perks.
What's the thing, too, right? Like let's even take, like, Better Devils, for example. Like, what if they took that gun and, say, slightly change, like, maybe there's a little bit of a, I don't know, like a horn on top of it, and just say, oh, but this thing has, already have the explosion every time you get a headshot kill? Or is it just exploding damage?
Firefly.
So yeah, what if they added Firefly to something, or if they changed like anything else like that, just adding like one extra perk to it? Like, it feels like something they could do.
Anymore, is it?
No, it's not.
No, I don't think so. I mean, everything else I'm okay with seasons. Like, a seasons that list banner and faction rallies, which I understand. The rep rewards, which are useless anyway, so that doesn't change anything. Like, stuff like that, it's no big deal.
Right.
The Eververse stuff, I'm glad that they have at least admitted that, yeah, we might have tipped things a little too far towards you trying to get you to buy shit.
I don't know if it's just me, but you're cutting out quite a bit there.
I think it's Hangouts. It's always done that for me.
It might just be my connection. I mean, I'll know when I play the video back.
Oh, okay.
Times when I listen back to our first show was kind of the same way. There's a little bit of like it could just be that my internet connection is not as amazing for streaming as I wish it would be. But either way,
I think everybody's connection's not as good as they want it for streaming.
Well, I mean, come on, we live in North America. Why would we get good internet?
Yeah, I feel like we're in a day and age everyone should have good internet.
Or at least like.
I just hate that I just renewed my internet or whatever, and it's like literally twice the amount it was like 3 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, like, to me, like, I finally got 100 download, and to me, it doesn't even feel like that's like enough for what we need now. Like some of the stuff that we do is just insane, especially when also the upload is not that amazing. Like I'm sitting there thinking like, why can't it be 100 and 100? Why does it have to be 100 and say, I don't know, 120 or something like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
NSA in the States need that supercomputer so they can spy on all our shit, you know? But anyway, that's a tangent. That's a very unnecessary tangent. Reading.
What do you think about the snipers in the game? I don't get to use it that often.
I don't mind them. It's just there's not the way that the maps are designed. I just feel like there isn't a lot of opportunities to use them.
No,
yeah.
Nothing to do with the guns not being good. I think it's just that it's because you remember like play when you're doing like say the Nexus in D1, like that was tailor made to have a sniper. Because I think the problem is
snipers are very situational. For
they throw so many ads at you now that they kind of force you to move, and as a sniper, you kind of have to stay put a little bit. So it's kind of hard to really kind of station yourself.
I like the sniper from the Leviathan.
Oh, shit, I can't remember the name of it.
Haven't gotten it. I just got the hand cannon last night.
Nice. I know a lot of people are looking for that gun.
I mean, I still like using Darcy once in a blue moon. It's a nice weapon to use. But I mean, like the idea that shotguns can work better, swords can work better, rocket launchers can do better. Hell, even there's with the especially now that Zer's selling it, like it's a pretty good hand cannon for what you want. So, or not hand cannon, a grenade launcher.
The sniper is alone as a god.
So let's see. No, I'm reading over stuff again just because I'm trying to remember. I don't know what I get from the Eververse section at the very least.
Spongy, though?
What's that?
Are the ads still going to be spongy?
I don't think they really mentioned anything about that. Because personally, I don't even know if it's that. I don't even view it's that big a problem compared to other things. It's a lot more minor than most.
Yeah.
I mean, as you guys know, with
the Eververse section, it doesn't seem like I'm not getting too much of a sense from the Eververse that it's like they're going to do anything too crazy. It just sounds like they're going to try to be a little more transparent. I hope they do what PUBG is doing right now, where they're actually listing drop rates. I hope that they at least do that and say, hey, here's your chance of getting an exotic item, especially emotes, because I still haven't gotten one. I would love to know like how bad they're fucking me in the ass on giving me a goddamn emote.
Yeah, you're getting kind of boned on the emotes.
If there was ever a time for me to need a salt emote.
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment because I've been very fortunate.
Yeah.
But I would think if they're moving stuff out of Eververse to be for normal activity drops, that might greaten your chance to get some.
I think that's the other problem too. Is a lot of people are saying they need to take the mods out of there because the mods are so used. Like you get them so easily through Banshee.
Kind of flooding the loot pool.
I think that's a good point. Like if they at least remove some of the content, it might actually leave room for a little more stuff. Because I notice even too, like I don't get a lot of ships. I rarely ever get ships from Tess. It's like between sparrows and ships, for example, I'm pretty sure I get like 8 to 9 sparrows per ship.
She's given me quite a few ships.
Same. That's all I seem to get are ships and sparrows.
I feel like it's just you get what you don't want.
Yeah.
No, I was
That's
getting
true.
ships left and right during that last festival that they had.
Oh yeah.
I don't count the festival stuff because I pretty much got everything like 20 times by the end of it. So.
Yeah, and I think that loot table was pretty small too. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that by the time you got like your 10th dawning reward, it was like, okay, you've already maxed this out.
Yeah.
The stuff that Tess was selling, you pretty much max out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So as I'm reading down the list, they're just basically saying they're going to be more transparent with XP rates, which obviously they should have been in the first place. That's no biggie. I'm happy to see that they're going to start doing Masterwork armor for the 30th of January.
Are they?
At least, yeah, they're planning on doing Masterworks for armor on the 30th update.
I'm interested.
So
I'm interested in what the perks are.
I don't know if it's the only perk, but one of them says Masterwork armor will provide increased damage reduction while you're using your super.
Oh. That'll be interesting for Crucible.
That was my first thought. I'm like, so I'm gonna have even more trouble shooting Titans, I guess.
Got to get those team shots in, man.
The next thing, this is all for the 30th, the January 30th update. So, raid reward reworks. They're planning to update rewards to make them more unique and interesting. They're going to have raid specific perks, so that's something everybody's been asking for.
Mm-hmm.
The raid vendor will also directly sell Leviathan and Eater of Worlds armor and weapons for purchase with raid tokens, so it's not just going to be engram drops.
I'm glad about that because I got boned on those for so damn long.
And they're also going to put a ghost in the table with raid specific perks as well.
A new ghost.
So that's their hope for that.
I was very unsatisfied.
I don't know. I
kind of feel like a lot of the stuff in this post, they already kind of planned it as part of the.
But I mean, it's just the first time in a while that we've gotten so much information because usually they're either really succinct or they just don't really post much at all.
Yeah. If anything, I think one of the only things that was the result of feedback is definitely the Eververse stuff.
Yeah, well, you kind of had to, especially after the Star Wars debacle, and then because a lot of people are putting Destiny like number 3 of all the scandals from 2017 because they had Mass Effect at number 2 for being such a catastrophic failure, and then obviously Battlefront.
Mm-hmm. No, what the point I was trying to make was a lot of people were expecting or thinking that a lot of these changes are because of the recent feedback. And from reading it, I'm like, I think a lot of this stuff seemed like it was already planned.
I do get a bit of a sense of that as well, but at the same time, it's like, you know what, they're at least being a lot more detailed, and rather than just kind of like brushing it off and trying to do the usual like hype man stuff where they're just saying, oh yeah, you're gonna love all the changes that are coming. Instead of saying that, they're being like, here is this, and this. It's instead of just just random hype that doesn't do anything. Because that's kind of what we've been used to. It's just literally like 2 paragraphs of you're gonna love what we got coming for you, and then we're all sitting here being like, okay, but what is it?
But I mean, when it comes to future updates and stuff, what other games are more transparent than Destiny with that? I don't game a lot, so I don't know what it's compared to. In my experience, you don't hear anything about game updates and stuff. You only hear about them when they actually come out.
I think because this is such an ever-changing game or at least like it's an active game, because I mean, obviously like changes for a much more static sort of IP, like say, I don't know, XCOM or Mass Effect or that, like that's a little different. But when you get to something like Destiny, which is not only an MMO, but it's also got this really intensive shooting idea. Because I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, because I'm not an MMORPG guy anymore. Like I haven't played much since Final Fantasy XIV's free trial when that first thing. So I don't really know what, say, World of Warcraft's community is like, or Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I don't know how in tune their development team is with keeping everybody posted, but
I know, well, when I played the first Guild Wars, it was at the point where I just didn't give a damn what was going on. I was just there to play the game.
Well, and it's what I wonder too.
Did they update their community a lot on changes that they were going to be making and things like that, or?
I mean, like that was at the point where I was completely uninvolved, other than I would sign in.
Oh, so if there was, you wouldn't even have known about it.
Yeah, like I see an update, I download it and I played. That's how I was at that point.
I mean, the way that I look at it anyway is just that. I mean, if it was a problem in other communities, would we not have heard this by now? Especially now where everything is going into the forefront right now, because ever since the EA debacle, any minor gaming scandalous story is being leaked because getting off this shit right now is unbelievable. Like every article under the sun is writing about Destiny right now.
Yeah.
For us, because we love the game so much, and finally, like everybody's talking about it, but it's for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's frustrating. I mean, obviously, in my current position where obviously I have 2 games on the shelf that are waiting. I think I'm maybe 10 hours away from finishing Mass Effect, which I'm actually enjoying a lot more now that I already know it's a disappointment. It's a lot better when I'm not hyped up about it anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens with a lot of games.
I mean, I have Nier on the shelf, I have South Park on the shelf, and obviously most of us are probably going to end up trying out Monster Hunter when that comes out on the 26th. So when it's a little frustrating to see Destiny go through this, but at the same time, I'm also becoming a little apathetic because I have other options that I can do while I'm waiting for all the good stuff to come back.
Mm-hmm. Like, I kind of feel sorry for Bungie in a way.
I do and I don't.
Because they don't have to do anything. They don't have to tell us anything about anything. But yet, you know, they're providing what I think is a lot of information. And people just are like, that's not good enough. But it's like, again, they could give you nothing. You know, I'm just always satisfied with whatever information I can gain about anything that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think it's at the point too. It's like with any, especially an angered community, it doesn't matter what you do. If you give them nothing, they're mad that you gave them nothing. If you give them something, they're mad that you didn't give them enough.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what you got to look at too. It's
like you said earlier, people are just doing this stuff for all the wrong reasons. They're seeing, you know, they're seeing things happen like you said with EA and other games, and they're like, hey, and they're like, I should be shaking my fist too. Like, I think they're just doing it because they can.
I mean, the reality of what we're seeing with Destiny 2, a lot of it just has to do with Eververse, because we're right now in this point because of EA that anything that seems slightly shady with microtransactions is starting to get out of hand. Like, do you guys remember that Counter-Strike gambling fiasco that was going on, like, I think earlier last year?
No.
Like, it's a brief story, but there were a couple of popular YouTubers that they were actually running a gambling website for all the Counter-Strike skins. That not only did they not specifically say, hey, kids, don't do this, but like they actively don't even try to shy away from having kids, you know, gamble on these sites. And that got leaked out, and that really didn't hit that as hard as it should have. I imagine if this story came out today, that would have gotten so much more flack.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because now that we are so much more aware of how shady microtransactions get, and it's not to say that the Counter-Strike skins are shady compared to what EA was trying to do. That's a little different, because all Counter-Strike stuff is purely cosmetic. But anything microtransaction related now is going to get a heavy dose of negative press because it's in that stage. So I don't know, as someone who has never bought Eververse content and doesn't really ever plan on it, I don't know if it's really that big a story, or if it's just because it's so fresh in everybody's mind that microtransactions are like Hitler right now.
I think that's the only reason, because once EA kicked off, we all knew that, I mean, they had sort of a pay-to-win aspect to it. Destiny is solely cosmetic item. You get nothing from it. There's no reason you should, like, it shouldn't bother you that much.
I mean, obviously there are some things hidden behind, like the ridiculousness of that one emote that was almost 4,000 bright dust, and it's literally and it's like, okay, that's one of those things where it's like, that one I could understand that nobody would pass up, because like that just wrote itself. A fucking fictional, like the greatest fictional writer in all of human history couldn't have written that one. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm annoyed that this much negative press has come out, and that people consider Destiny 2's quote unquote fall from grace to be like the top 3 disappointments this year. I feel like D2 and D1 are not as different as people seem to claim it is. It's just they made some changes that some people didn't agree with, and they can obviously go back to it if they want.
Yeah. Like, I don't see... Yeah.
A lot of people forget, well, like we just heard recently, they rebooted the game, what, was 16 months out or something? And then when they were starting to do Destiny 2, a lot of those changes that we loved and got used to in Destiny 1, there was a total disconnect there. You had 2 different teams working on
that was the thing.
Times. Like, they can't throw all this stuff in. And a lot of people are very quick to forget that, or you know, just disregard that.
Well, because the reality is,
they're saying, like, Destiny... oh, we're getting all of these changes that we had in D2. Now they're giving this to us now. Why didn't they give it to us before? I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't possible for them to give them to us before, because they were just created when the game was written, and I don't know. We'll just
for sure. Like, if Destiny 2 had come out with all of the quality of life changes that Destiny 1 ended with, I don't think this would have been nearly in such a quote-unquote broken state that people have been claiming it's been in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people, they're not really complaining about Destiny 2 itself as a game. They're complaining because Destiny 2 is not Destiny 1.
Exactly. And that's
like
exactly what it is. It is not Destiny 1.
I mean, I've said it all the time in the chat. Like, my complaint's not even that Destiny 2 is bad a game. I'm just really upset that we had to lose so much of Destiny 1's content just for a new game.
Yeah.
Content,
especially looking back at everything that D2 had, that could have easily just been an expansion for D1.
Yeah, it could have. They definitely just, I mean, with a revamp to like damage points and everything.
Yeah, but that takes me back to the whole, like, the whole reboot thing. Like, they had 16 months. I'm sure they had to, like, say, okay, we don't have time to work on this, or this. We need to just focus on getting the game out. Because I have a feeling if given the time, it probably would have been a lot more robust launch.
I mean, which is fine, but I mean, like, obviously I can feel sympathy for the team that made it, but I give no sympathy to the company for making that decision. Because if you put yourself in that situation in the first place, like, you put yourself into that.
Mm-hmm.
If they had,
totally.
like, if they had done what they should have done and had this on a 3-year cycle, like I think they were supposed to, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. But because whatever happened, where guys from the team left, or just plans change, like at whatever point do we as a consumer get the right to say, I don't care what your reason is, you still made a mistake, you still fucked up? Sympathy here and there, but at the end of the day, I expect you as a AAA publisher, or not a AAA publisher, AAA developer, to at least get your shit together and be able to at least put some good time to actually make a game like functional, to the point that maybe, I mean, who knows? Even if the game had 3 years, who knows? Maybe people would still bitch about it because it's not quite Destiny 1. Who knows? But it would have given us an idea that, oh, okay, so they just didn't make the game very well. This case just seems like, oh, they rushed it out the door because they wanted our money.
Well, of course it is. A corporation. At the end of the day, they just want to make money. Like, I work for a book publisher. Like, you talk about working for a publisher. I work for a book publisher. I see books go out the door with, like, the spines are wrong on them, or this is wrong on them. But hey, we freaking printed 20,000 of these books. They got to get out the door and get sold.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we will lose money on that. And as much as people love gaming and everything, at the end of the day, for the publishers, for the developers, it's money.
Yeah. Which I don't disagree with. But again, from a consumer point of view, I mean, either way, like, you pay your money or you don't. It's just how it works.
Like, trust me, when I buy a book that's quality is off, I'm pissed. But I mean, hey, I could still read the book and enjoy the book.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to buy, like, I don't know, I'm not going to buy Ride to Hell Retribution, that notoriously really bad game, and be like, well, I got the game. I'm still going to try to enjoy it. It's not like what it was back when we were younger, where, like, in the Super Nintendo days or whatever, where literally you made every game seem like it was a great game because it's all you had.
Mom. I mean, at the time when I was a lot younger, I had games to play for some reason. Now I don't, but at the time it seemed a lot easier to get a hold of games.
Well, I think it depends. Like, if we're talking, like, just being able to go to your local rental store or borrowing a game off a friend, like, sure. But we're at the point now where you can get, like, a really good game for less than $10 if you either wait, or if just like a good free-to-play game comes out that isn't too bad on trying to get you to pay money, or even in the case of just, like, at some point there's just some really good indie games that are sleeper hits that are under $10.
Another thing is Steam sales really get you. That's how I get most of my games.
Oh, I know. Have you ever used the site Steam Left?
No.
Oh, I'm just going to do it right now, just to remember how many hours I have that I could be playing. If I type in my ID here, it will tell me that for the amount of games that I have, 3,420 continuous hours, or 142 days, 12 hours, and 15 minutes to completely complete my Steam library.
I don't think
because of how much, which for anime fans out there, as they say, in the same amount of time, I could watch the entire anime of Naruto, including Shippuden, 16 separate times. Which for anime fans, know that is a fucking lot.
Yeah.
What's some of the other funny ones they have in here? Because they have a bunch of ones. You could watch the original Star Wars 1,695 times. You can listen to Rush's 2112 album 5,261 times.
I listened to that album a lot of times.
You can climb Mount Everest 87 times.
Jeez. That's a lot of climbing.
You can travel from New York to England on an ocean liner 40 times, ... in 1960.
Jeez.
Like stuff like that. And I think the problem, like I got so many humble bundles that I have all these games that I'm probably never going to touch, but they just sit there, right?
Right. That's most of my library in Steam is like, I'm not going to play any of these, but one day I might.
I found this year it's been like that a lot. Like all of Steam sales over 2017, I basically looked at and said, I don't need to buy you. Same happened with all of PlayStation's holiday sales for the last 5 weeks. I looked at every single week. I'm like, no, I don't need you. It's like, oh, you're 65% off? I still don't need you. And most of the games they put up weren't even that good.
Yeah. I really, like, when I bought 7 Days to Die recently, I bought 2 copies of it for someone else to play with me and still paid less than the actual game is worth.
Wow.
That's why I like Steam.
Yeah, no, sometimes it can get pretty crazy. If you wait for the right time, there's always something on Steam that just you look at and be like, I don't know how this is possible, but I'm taking this before the mirage goes away.
That's what we did. Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah, I almost got tempted to get it last week or not last week, the week before for our Boxing Day stuff because they had it on for $40, and I looked at it, I'm like, that's not a bad price. And then I'm like, yeah, but I could also get these 2 games for $40, and that's probably going to double my playing time. So
I've definitely wanted to get the Assassin's Creed because I've noticed everybody has some pretty decent shit to say about it.
Well, that's the thing. Like in our chat, like everybody's gushing about it. I don't think I've seen one person in our chat actually say much bad things about it, other than like a few like minor nitpicks.
Yeah, it's definitely had its fair share of good words.
Which I'm still conflicted on because if I play it that I won't like it just because it's a bad game. I think I've just become so apathetic to Assassin's Creed the series as a whole.
Yeah, I've definitely had some bad experience with Assassin's
I haven't
Creed.
enjoyed, or I haven't really been interested in the game since Black Flag. Oh my god, what's the name of that pirate game they showed at E3 now? I can't remember what the hell it's called. Was it Skull and Bones?
The Ubisoft one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skull and Bones. I kind of want to play it.
Curious. But I mean, at the same time, it's still Ubisoft. They have room. They have room to fuck it up.
I mean, I really like Ubisoft, so I'm in that minority with that. But there's several games similar to that on computer, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're also if it's ever coming out, that seems to be another one of those games.
It's coming soon. It's coming soon, like March or something.
For which one?
Sea of Thieves.
Oh, I didn't realize I had a release date to it. It's like I was joking around because I was talking about the Switch, the recent Nintendo Direct that was given all the Switch ports because Dark Souls is getting ported up there. And I'm like, that's some really cool stuff. And some guy's like, oh yeah, there's some other, like, what do you think? Do you think they'd ever get Star Citizen? And I kind of laughed and said, first, I don't even think Nintendo could handle that. And B, I don't think Star Citizen is coming out unless Half-Life 3 is not far behind.
I've noticed as well, or I didn't notice, they're revamping the multiplayer in Dark Souls as well, which is such a great thing. Because that may actually get me to get it.
I wouldn't know anything about it. I bought I borrowed the original Dark Souls, played it for about an hour, and went, I can't devote my time to getting my ass kicked. I know there are a lot of people that love the challenge or just love the satisfaction of beating something. I don't have that level of patience, nor does my brain connect the idea that I've just spent an hour literally doing nothing.
It seems like I like to hate myself enough to play that.
I think if I was playing this back when I was maybe in high school or college, I probably could get around it. But now it's at the point that my time is so limited that I just can't justify. Like it's why a lot of times when I play games, like I'm playing Mass Effect right now on easy because I don't have time to take the challenge. I'd rather be more interested in getting the game done and seeing the story rather than being challenged all the time. Like if I ever get Cuphead, which I plan to, Obviously, I know I'm going in knowing that it's going to kick my ass. But if I have the choice, I would rather take an easy difficulty, not because I don't want to play on a harder difficulty, because I know I can if I have the patience. I just don't feel like I have the extra 20% extra time that I need to devote to it to deal with the challenge.
What are you going to be playing Cuphead on if you do get it?
Probably just PlayStation, because I don't know what. I'm pretty sure it is.
I thought it was Xbox and PC.
Well, I think it. Well, you know what? This is the advantage of having a PlayStation right next to me. I know that it's at least on Steam, and that I'd be shocked if it's not on here now. It obviously would be eventually, because they'd be stupid not to, because they're gonna make a ton of goddamn money off it.
Yeah.
That's surprising. Well, it probably will be. I don't know. Maybe at E3 this year, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's finally coming out in October or something."
Yeah, maybe so.
Because I'm
ready for E3 this year.
You guys remember Fee, right? The one that looked like Ori and the Blind Forest, FE.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Like literally, it's like it was. I'm pretty sure it was supposed to just be an Xbox exclusive, and now it's going to be out on everything. Like it even got announced for Switch now. So it's like,
I think I have Ori and the Blind Forest. Actually,
either it's just going to get to the point where Microsoft just isn't willing to pay to keep a game for that long, or it's just that companies are realizing exclusivity doesn't mean shit anymore. It's basically like, if their game is really good, there's no point in taking the extra paycheck from one company just to keep it there for 6 months, when they could just sell it on everything and make a crap ton of money right then and there.
Yeah, I guess it'll probably end up being mostly the main titles that are exclusive. But I feel like
I'm not expecting Gears of War to suddenly be on PlayStation. That's a little different. But I mean, like any outside, like Tomb Raider didn't need to be an Xbox exclusive, and it was for maybe 6 months.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It didn't need to be, and it's one of those things that does drive me nuts. That we still live in an age where exclusivity is like this big deal. It's like, dude, like, I there's almost a part of me that wishes that Nintendo would just release their games on everything, because holy crap.
I like the idea we were talking about with the Switch the other day, where if we were to just be able to play all the older games.
Well, that's the thing too, is like it sucks, because I mean, we all remember seeing when PlayStation was like, okay, we're going to finally start putting PS2 games on PS4, and they started with 15 games. And it feels like ever since, like, they maybe put 2 every 3 months on, and that's it. Like, there's just nothing they're adding in.
Yeah, no, there's definitely not enough.
It's really at that point that it bothers me as a consumer that the only way for me to go back and play old games is to either dig my PS2 out of the box, put a whole nother another socket in there, and now I need another power bar to open that up, and then find more space for it, hopefully dust it off enough that it still works properly, and then hope to God that the disc goes, to wait and pray to God that it gets an HD remaster and I have to pay $80 all over again.
Yeah.
Lose either way. And I've noticed now that because I'm such a visual quality guy, it drives me crazy going back and playing say an old PlayStation game and being like, oh my God, this looks fucking horrendous. I can't do it.
I've never been that big of a stickler on quality. Some of it's a little rough, but I mean, typically it's not going to bother me enough to where I can't play a game or anything.
It's not necessarily even that. It's just more like my eyes are so focused on, or they're so even used to 1080p now, that when I go back and go to standard, and I'm playing I don't know, let's say Persona 4 on the PlayStation 2, and I'm looking at the graphics being like, this still looks all right style wise, but man, he is shit.
Yeah, I imagine if I were to go back to a smaller TV or something, I'd probably have a little more issue or something with it.
I mean, obviously, if you go back far enough, the Super Nintendo was fucking timeless. Actually, you know what? Most Super Nintendo games now look like they would just be indie releases. It's crazy to me. Playing, say, Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI or Super Mario World, they all feel like games that you could buy now for $15 that would be an indie game on Steam. It's so weird.
Yeah. I just don't. I don't understand with Nintendo. Why are they so considered on making new content? I don't know if they just don't realize that they'd probably make a shit ton of money from people like myself if they were to re-release older games for pretty much all of them, and then they have the information for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Nintendo does with a virtual console. Obviously, it hasn't started on Switch yet, but I even looking back on it now, like the amount of money that I might have spent on virtual console games on my original Wii, and I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of money I sunk into basically just play Super Mario 3 on my fucking TV when I could just do that on my laptop.
Yeah.
It's why like you were mentioning how we talked about this earlier. Like I would rather that they do something like, say, like a monthly subscription like Netflix and saying, hey, you want to play our entire library and just, pick and choose from it? Here, it's like what PlayStation, what's their service? PlayStation that they do for all the PS3 games, the streaming one. Oh, I can't think of the name
PlayStation Now or PlayStation TV, one of the two.
Yeah, PlayStation Now. And it's like, well, why can't Nintendo just do that? Where you give us, say, like $8 to $10 a month, and you could just select all of our library from NES, Super Nintendo. Hell, if they put Game Boy games on there, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Wasn't there something you could buy for the GameCube that would allow you to play certain Game Boy games on it?
Yeah, there was stuff like I remember the
the
N64 with Pokemon Stadium having an attachment that you could actually play your Game Boy Pokemon games while playing Pokemon Stadium. They had that weird like fucking like Rumble Pack size thing that you could stick your Game Boy games in.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it's just at the point that I think there are so many games out today that we're almost so overwhelmed by them that we almost kind of want to take a step back for a moment and just go back to the old stuff again, just to kind of remind ourselves that still exists, because we're so like getting buried in new stuff now.
We need to know where we came from.
Yeah. Like I have Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 HD sitting on my shelf, and I can't wait to go through that stuff again because I haven't played those games in, oh God, probably since Kingdom Hearts 2 actually came out. I don't think I've actually ever replayed them.
It's been a long time ago.
That has.
Like I finally got to play through Final Fantasy 12 with the HD remaster, and I'm like, holy crap! Because I don't remember liking the game very much as a kid, and I played it now, and I'm like, this is 10 times better than I remember. Because that's the thing too, you also appreciate things a lot more. Because now that you're a little bit older, you kind of understand, say, the story a little bit better. You kind of figured out the mechanics a lot faster. Like I understood the mechanics of 12's like leveling system a hell of a lot faster than I did as a kid, because my brain's just like, maybe if I put all my points in strength, that'll help.
Now, did any of y'all ever play a video game called Dot Hack?
I did, but I never finished either of them. I played through the first games in both the original and GU, and I've never done any of the others.
Yeah, my son's got the whole game trilogy. Not a trilogy, it's a 4-pack. But he's got it for PlayStation 4 now.
Well, yeah, because they released the GU in HD release.
Yeah, I was just looking at it earlier in GameStop, just because I was there.
It's the same way. Like I'll even give Dot Hack as that example. Like there's a lot of games I can go back to, and I'm actually unsure how the heck I finish them, because I go back to Dot Hack and I actually don't like the progression of that game. It's way too copy and paste. Like you don't actually, it's basically just grinding for 60 hours and 5 hours of actual story. Like,
yeah,
it's not nearly as interesting as I remember it being. I think it was just because it was such a novel idea that you were playing a video game of somebody playing a video game. Like that was so meta to us back then, being like at my age, I would have been like 14, 15 years old then. Because, I mean, we all dream as a kid, like, holy crap, what if we were in the video game? And Dot Hack was like the first game that I really noticed. I'm sure a lot of games did it before that, but Dot Hack was the first one that I found that had that concept.
Right. But my son's enjoying it again, so.
Well, that's the thing. There's a lot of games out there that we get to enjoy now, especially, going back, like anybody who bought the NES or the SNES classics are getting to do that again. Even kids that have never played them before get the chance to experience what we used to play.
Yeah.
I've gone back to D1 a couple of times and noticed new players, and you can see the grimoire is so low. It's just like, you're gonna love this game.
Well, that's what I'm hearing too. Like, I find that a lot of people are going to D1 for two reasons. Either they're the angry ones that are trying to go back to their nostalgia days because they're cranky, or you get the kids that are like, you know what, I know D2 is out, but you know what, I want to play D1 first just to see what all the fuss was about, and then I'll get into it.
That's probably also the fact that it's like $3.
Well, yeah, you can go into a store and buy it for friggin' $2.99. So it's pretty easy to justify that cost when you do the math and think I could pay $3 for this game. There's still I don't know what the numbers are. I almost like to think there's got to be at least like maybe 50,000, maybe even more still playing actively.
Yeah, because I mean it's a great game. So a lot of people either playing before they get into D2 or anything like that.
I'm actually surprised that we haven't really gotten any newbies in our clan through people just like meeting people that are starting over in D1.
Well, I mean, we're not really in the friend game anymore, right?
No, but we always have a lot of people too that go through and do old raids and stuff, right? So
yeah, I still do it too with my old friends from D1.
Makes me wonder if a lot of these players are in the same boat that we never knew about the 100. Because I think I went maybe. Well, I went through the entire time on 360 without knowing, because I played it on 360 for about 6 months, and then I moved to PS4 because I got fed up with school, had got $2,000 back for my tuition, and I'm like, fuck it, I deserve something. I'm gonna go buy myself a PlayStation 4. And it still took me, I think, another couple months after that to even have heard about the 100, because I used to use just LFG, and oh my god, I don't miss LFG.
I lucked out. I found out about the 100 probably like a week into playing Destiny.
Yeah.
I'm a Taken King player, by the way, but yeah, I really lucked out finding the 100 when I first started playing.
I found out way late, but I also stumbled upon an awesome dance party that got me into the clan here.
Doesn't everything start via a dance party?
Yeah, in Destiny it does. For sure.
I mean, now they start with table flips and throwing snowballs, which I'm now super depressed in. It's another reason why I haven't really played Destiny 2 since, because I don't want to play a game without snowballs now.
Oh man, the snowballs.
I totally forgot about the snowballs after a couple of days.
I don't know. It was really fun just whipping snowballs at the giant bosses and just watching them getting covered in more snow than I actually held in my hand at the time.
Yeah, I really like that Hydras and Shriekers stopped shooting at you.
Oh, that was wonderful.
That was like my favorite thing. I was like, I need all of the snowballs for this.
And that's the thing, and I'm gonna miss that. Like, I want that to be a consistent thing in the same way that they're gonna make Iron Banner and faction rallies consistent. It doesn't obviously have to be snowballs, but it'd be cool if they figured something that you could like throw, because having those active things on the map actually made strikes that much more interesting, because it wasn't just specific spots. Now you were tempted to go and just to throw them. It made you move.
Yeah. All right, unplug my headset there.
So I really appreciate that a lot more, because it was nice to have things change up a bit, and the fact that we're probably not going to get that for a whole nother year is kind of depressing.
I'm kind of, until the next faction rally, I'm probably done with Destiny, just to take a small break, because I really have no reason to play.
I think it's going to depend too with a lot of us, depending on how good Monster Hunter goes for us.
Well, as of right now, I'm not planning to get it. I mean,
I'll still be playing the crap out of Destiny.
Oh, I know you will. You're kind of like the odd one out here.
Yeah.
Well, she's also just moved over from Xbox, so she's got a lot more to get. Like,
I wouldn't say move. I visit. I go between both. It's like my parents divorced.
We'll take over. Don't worry.
I was gonna make a really bad "I'm your daddy now" joke, but I'm like, no, that's just not gonna go over very well at all.
Like, I'm at the point in Destiny, the only thing I haven't really done is the new layer. Like,
I still haven't done the layer, but it's not killing me to not to do it.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, sorry.
Aren't you guys excited for Crimson Devils?
Yeah,
I am ready for Romeo and Juliet to come back.
I was gonna say, you go ahead, Sergeant. We keep interrupting you.
No, I'm just saying. I got halfway through the layer, and that was my first time going through with the group. That was interesting, but we couldn't get through the damaging phase. But
did anybody see the video of like guys like doing it in one phase?
That was insane.
Granted, they were on PC, so they had the frame rate to do it. But it's like right now I'm watching. Has anybody been paying attention to what's been going on with the Winter Games Done Quick runs? All the live streaming charity thing that's been going on for the last little while.
I've not seen it, man.
Not cold.
Oh my god! Like watching some of that stuff blows my mind. I just finished watching before the podcast. I watched a guy do the entirety of Sonic Mania in less than 50 minutes.
Jeez.
My favorite one though, and if you guys ever get around to it, like if you got 2 hours free, watch a guy who speed runs the entirety of Resident Evil 7 in less than 2 hours.
I can't watch.
But how do you even do that though?
It's mind blowing to me, like how like. Especially in like, because I never thought about a horror game being speedrun because you figure, oh, it's jump scares and stuff. Like, why the hell would you put yourself through that kind of like stress?
Well, I guess if you're so focused on finishing, you're not getting.
That's the thing, and even after watching it, like any of the scary-ish moments, like you don't even really notice. Like,
and you have to think they've probably run it so many times that they're kind of null to it at this point.
But I mean, how long would you run through that game?
Definitely, like I would say probably like, well, given like dying and times that you go really, really slow around a corner, I could say 8 to 10 hours is very reasonable to say.
But how long are these people doing it? How long does it take?
Oh, like I think the guy that during this show, I think he did it in like an hour 47 or something like that. It was.
Dang.
That's absurd.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, killing bosses in like 2 minutes. Killing bosses that you normally die to like 10 times to figure out the mechanic.
Son wants a hug.
I still think like my favorite thing that I've ever seen through them. They're called Games Done Quick. They do 2 every year. They do one in the wintertime and they do one in the summer. And the best thing I ever saw was a guy doing Super Mario World, and I think it was maybe in 20 or 30 minutes with never taking a mushroom. He was Small Mario the entire way through.
Well, I mean, you're faster that way.
Well, no, I mean, but he still was able to use like Star Road, places that you normally need like the cape to get to.
Oh, okay.
Like some places that you literally watch it and your brain shits itself. Like there's a guy who does Link to the Past without ever getting the sword.
Oh.
Like some of those crazy, like I like those categories more because I mean, sure, you can see somebody play like, say, I don't know, let's just say, I don't know, just take any random single player game that's like a platformer. And you can see anybody do that in a quick amount of time. But to actually put restrictions on them, and even to the point of Link to the Past, they legit fuck with the game so that you never get the sword. And he still finds ways to beat bosses and get through it really quick. That stuff amazes the crap out of me because you never would have thought that was even possible. You didn't even think it would be possible to finish, let alone finish with any sort of speed.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I like challenging myself in certain games, like when we do strikes and we drop all our HUD.
Yeah, but we're not trying to do it fast. We're just trying to be stupid. Can there be? Well, you know, that'll be our project. We'll try to get a charity run. It'll be games done stupidly.
Yeah, just no HUD everything all the time. Like, have you seen Wildlands with no HUD? It's essentially nothing, and it seems so much more difficult when you actually play with all the HUD there.
Well, because that's probably a game where you need the information because everything is you're usually spending a lot of it sniping.
Yeah, so there's no target mapping. You can't spot enemies, I think. And then as well, there's a lot of objectives in that big ass town that you have to go find.
Yeah. Are you going to say something there, Sergeant?
Yeah, I was just going to say about the Assassin's Creed, the first one with Altair. I mean, a lot of the gameplay was you had to be stealth and had to be slow and doing everything and walking with those crowds and so forth to get around the town. To do that fast, that would be crazy.
Well, we'll research that right now and see what the fastest time in the original Assassin's Creed was.
And do these people just solely finish storyline, or do they?
Well, there's also different categories, right? Like there is 100%. There's a category called any percent, which just basically means finish it as fast as you can. So here's what I got: any percent, the fastest time to finish it, period, Doesn't matter what you do if you finish everything. Fastest is 3 hours 49 minutes.
Wow.
It makes me think of when I was living with my friend. We used to play Skyrim a lot, and he started making a character at the same time I did, and I ended up killing Alduin in the time he was making a second character because he didn't like the way the first one looked. I was like a level 11, killing Alduin.
And then for reference sake for Assassin's Creed, 100%, the fastest time is just under 8 hours, like 7 hours, 56 minutes.
Jeez.
It's like, even then, like, people can find ways. Like, a lot of it has to do with also figuring out how to get, like, for example, with the Sonic Mania run that a guy was doing, like, after some levels where there are cutscenes, there is like a 2-frame window where you can pause it and restart, and that will actually punch you into the next level rather than spending, like, I don't know, like a minute watching a cutscene. So there are things like that you can do to get around things.
Oh, okay.
I think in Resident Evil he actually skips a boss at some point, or at the very least, like, he skips a good chunk of like of a boss's like phase where, like, normally you would have to go through this whole section, but he figures out, like, he gets through something so quickly that the game doesn't have time to register you actually being there, so it completely kills it, and you just move on. Like, there's stuff like that you can get around.
Yeah.
Like, there's different times where there's games like, I don't know, I saw a Doom speedrun where they're out of the map all the time. Like, there are also those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I did see some of the Doom speed runs. Probably briefly.
It's also just really cool because it's just, you know, you're watching basically people just play video games really, really fast, and they make so much money. Like, I'm just about to pull up the Twitch stream just to see how much they've done, and they started like at the beginning of the week. They are currently at just over $1 million for Prevent Cancer Foundation.
Damn.
I know. They did an impromptu one for the relief in Texas, I think.
Yeah.
And they raised they raised phenomenal amounts of money. I think the last major speedrun thing they did, they raised like $2.5 million for Doctors Without Borders. Like, it's crazy what they can pull off, because you get, and I mean, a lot of the major donations are usually from the sponsors. That's what a lot of it is. But you have people that will throw like $5, and then you'll have guys that'll throw in 250 all the time.
Yeah, I noticed that for watching, is that like Rooster Teeth's Extra live stream? There's
Yeah,
people
Extra
that'll
Life is
drop-
the other big one.
Yeah. Like some of the people that work there, like Matt and Bernie, they both donated like $7,000-$10,000. And then there's people that dropped elite donations, and they're like $1,337.
Yeah.
Might be a really stupid question, but what is Rooster Teeth?
Have you ever heard of Red versus Blue?
Yeah.
That's the people that make that show or make that series. They started out with Red versus Blue, and then Red versus Blue started getting really popular, and then they started doing actual YouTube videos. So they started getting the people that did the voice acting. They started doing Let's Plays. I don't know what they started with. I think it might have been Minecraft.
Minecraft actually came later.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Minecraft, though, is when they really started hitting their stride and really started getting attention.
Yeah, they
I might be wrong. But like they've basically become this. They're arguably the biggest juggernaut when it comes to like a YouTube company. Like, that's not like a major like.
Yeah, they work in like very.
The amount of stuff they do is insane. Like, they have I can't even count how many different podcasts they have, and they all do like good views.
I think they've got 4 podcasts at least.
I don't know if they're still doing Red versus Blue. I can't remember if that series is still going. They've done at least one movie, and I think they're doing a sequel to it.
I think they've already done a second movie.
They have their anime series RWBY, which Crunchyroll actually has, which is crazy to me. That like what normally started as a web series is now on like a full-fledged app that's supposed to be for Japanese anime, and they've done, I think, like 4 or 5 seasons of that. Like, the amount of stuff that they have going, like, they're a fucking giant company now, and it all just started with them just making silly Halo videos.
Yeah. Like
it's crazy.
Drinking beers, playing video games.
Yeah, man. Well, it's like the same guy that does Rocket Jump, Freddie Wong. Like, they're all these kind of guys that are like that. They started doing silly little videos, and then they just keep getting more views, and then they finally get to a point where they can just throw some money at something and take a shot. And in Rooster Teeth's case, holy crap, did that ever work out for them? It's that kind of thing that you're so jealous, but at the same time, you're like, you guys worked your ass off. You kind of earned it.
It's like, hell yeah, guys. Do you?
Let's see. Anything interesting that people come across? Because I've got one little story that's kind of a nice little justice served kind of thing.
Oh, let's hear it.
You guys remember me talking about that swatting incident, right?
Yeah.
The guy got charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, because he was in, what do you call it, California?
Yeah. Where there actually are laws against it. So right now, like, there's no actual sentence to it yet, but he could get quite a bit of jail time if they really stick him with the harsher sentence. I mean, right now the story is saying his bond's at $500,000.
That's a good amount of money. So
he's also got 2 other charges that had to do with some stuff in Calgary. It's still like, I guess they were able to trace that to him as well. So,
oh wow.
I mean, it's just at that point that, like, and we've had this conversation so many times in the chat, and I've had it so many times with friends elsewhere. I don't understand how unbelievably fucking twisted and retarded you have to be to think, it would be a good idea sending a bunch of armed guards that are ready to shoot at your house just because I don't like something you did. Like, it's almost like you are sending a murder squad to somebody's house.
And in this case, it was over $1.50.
Yeah, it was over like a really small, like, wagered Call of Duty match. Like, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, they shit talk and stuff, but still, like, all the shit talking just started because of a $1.50 match. Like, some innocent guy died over $1.50.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Like, we're sitting here right now in a society that likes to put value to everybody's life, and in this case, it was $1.50. Like, it frustrates you so much.
Shit happens, I guess. It shouldn't, but it does.
That's some real shit. It's
joking go so far.
Because, I mean, you go back to that whole thing, oh, it's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank, bro. I'm like, you're sending people with guns. Like, it'd be another thing if you just send, like, a pizza to somebody. Like, just say, hey, I know where you live. It's another thing to fucking say, I mean, it's still creepy to dox somebody and try and figure out their personal information. It's another thing to say, you know what? I'm going to go above just getting your personal information. I'm also going to send a SWAT team at you.
It's a little too much.
Where do you go from one end to the other? It's insane to me. Like, I don't go from saying, oh, you slightly walked into me while you were walking across from me on the sidewalk, to, oh, I'm a little annoyed, to, oh yeah, I'm gonna stab you in the throat. Like, it's a pretty extreme measure. And just somebody just, like, it happens a lot with streamers. Like, you've seen it happen on Twitch and YouTube all the time, where literally somebody's just like, I don't like this person, so I'm going to send a SWAT team to their house. Where do you make that connection?
Oh, hey, you want to hear something funnier?
No, I don't like comedy. No one likes comedy.
This is not comedy. It's more strange than things.
Well, either way, I'm still down.
This was back when I was in high school, which was many, many years ago. A guy was walking in the hallway. You know, we're changing classrooms, and someone knocks books out of his hands.
So the old classic bully tactic.
Well, he was saying he was being disrespected. So he comes back the next day with a gun, and he shoots a guy in class.
Just, you know.
Yeah. You know, the next time I got to see him, he was on TV. Oh, wait, he was being charged again for having a gun. He was
like,
going
shocking.
back to
You're like, well, that seemed obvious.
He got 18 years for prison, and the next time I see him is like 20 years, and he's going back to jail again for having a gun again.
Well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks at that point.
Oh, man.
It's like, granted, we all live in our own special bubbles where, you know, we're actually sane people and figure that throwing a gun on somebody is probably not the best idea. I mean, obviously, from my spot, understand that train of thinking. I mean, how could you? You can't really get into the mind of somebody like that because your brain just can't conceivably make any sense of it. There's just no way you can.
No.
But either way, like, it goes back to the way that we, you know, you watch how some people just get raised, whether it's in the case of, you know, just being raised poorly, or say the mom or dad, like either leaving by just straight up leaving, or one of them passing away or anything like that, or divorces. Like, there's all these things, but nobody ever wants to go about those routes. They just think like, and it always comes back to us as gamers. Like, it always comes back to, oh, well, that kid played Grand Theft Auto, so that's probably why.
Yeah, because I've played Grand Theft Auto, and I've killed multiple people, clearly.
I mean, like, there's that picture that I put on the chat the other day where it was like, I don't play NFL, or I don't play Madden, and you call me an NFL player. I don't play Gran Turismo, and you call me a race car driver. So why the hell do I play Grand Theft Auto, and you call me a potential murderer?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll never understand all the reasons that lead to somebody taking that sort of stance. Like, you'll never get how somebody thinks, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just, because this one guy just did something stupid and just knocked books out of my hand, I'm going to up the ante by shooting him with a gun. It's like, my first thought is, maybe what you should do first is maybe just, you know, whack him in the jaw once. That's a pretty deep. That's like a not too bad extreme. It's still an extreme, but it's not pulling a gun and shooting. Jesus.
I've never been in an argument where I just thought, you know what I could do? I'm so mad, I'll just not live the rest of my life.
It's like, when if I ever get into a conversation with somebody that I'm that upset about, my brain, the worst thing that my brain comes to is I hope somebody else does the work for me, right? I hope something falls on you.
Just walking through the street and a piano falls.
Yeah, get some crazy comedy Final Destination level shit going on. I had the joke today because sometimes we have stressful days at work, and my one of our guys at work is pretty, like, he gets so easily stressed. So he's the guy that will all the time saying, "Oh man, I want to fucking shoot myself right now." And we try our best to kind of keep him on you know, in a straight line. So, like, I finally shot back and be like, "Don't you do that, because I know what'll happen. You'll somehow slip, miss, it'll ricochet off 3 things, then strike me in the leg. I'll fall over, crack my skull open on the table when I fall, and then for some reason there's just going to be an X-Acto knife laying on the floor that blew over 5 minutes ago that I never noticed, and I'm going to go throat first into it."
How it works. Life's a bitch.
It's like, that's just how it is.
And did he look at you like, wait, why are you talking about yourself? It's me I'm worried about.
No, his exact response was, "I think you thought this through too much." I remember actually going to Final Destination. I remember watching the third movie where I don't know if you guys have watched it. I remember the scene where the girl got a nail gun in a lumber store, shot through her face like 5 times.
Oh wow.
And I literally saw that as I was walking out the door to go to work at a lumber yard. So I basically walked into the warehouse, looked around at the shelf, and went, "That can kill me. That can kill me. That could kill me."
I mean, you could end up like the dude in Happy Gilmore, though.
I'm not going to fall out a window because of a crocodile head.
No, I was talking about the one where he shoots his boss in the head with a nail gun.
Oh, I thought you said shoot boss in the head before the nail gun part. I'm like, was there a deleted scene in Happy Gilmore that I didn't know about?
It's the super Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. Oh my god. I hate those movies though. Oh my god, those Final Destination films. Like I said, I can't watch those movies anymore because my imagination is already good enough to put myself in situations like that. I don't need a movie to also visualize it for me. Because I remember
haven't watched any of them.
The end of 3 has them all on a subway bus as it crashes and they all like fall to their deaths and stuff like that. And I literally watched that, and same deal. Like, I walked out the door and I went to go take a train to Toronto that day, and actually the train was a little shaky that day. So it's like, man, like this is why I don't watch that kind of stuff, because I know what my brain's going to do.
It
And
just
also,
makes you
Lady
paranoid.
Luck will just intervene and put me in a situation that's reminiscent of it, so that way I also have a reminder to that. Watched a movie where a guy got hit by a car. Let's have you walk and have a really fast car like blow by you over on the sidewalk. Just to remind you that we're watching.
Well, on the lighter note, I just got finished binge watching. What was it? It was called the Marvelous or Magical Madge.
Magnificent Six, maybe.
What's that?
No, that's a movie.
This was a series.
Oh.
It was on Amazon.
I feel like it's so good that he's already forgotten the name.
No, but I just can't remember her name. Her first name is Medj, and she was a Jewish girl that married a Jewish guy. They have 2 kids, and he wants to move out, even though she thought she had the perfect life.
Oh, there it is. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's it, Mazel.
I can understand why he doesn't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't remember that name. The second I Googled it, I'm like, okay, that's exactly why nobody's remembering that, because that name is way too much fucking alliteration.
But if you watch it, you'll laugh your ass off on it. And then you'll have it's an emotional, fun time to watch. It's dated back in the 40s and 50s when Lenny Bruce was around. I don't know if y'all knew him or not.
Oh, those good days, yes.
Yes. But it was just funny in its raw humor.
Well, because that's the thing too. Like, I actually, I use the social media site Gab rather than Twitter now, and Gab will always have like a bunch of live topics in the same way that Twitter has like trending hashtags and shit. And they had just one that was about comedians, like who's your favorite comedian, and it made me think, like, fuck, like, because I went back and yeah, like Carlin, right? My first thought is, oh my god, like, can you imagine Carlin today? He would be salivating at all the jokes he could be writing right now.
Oh, heck yeah.
Not even Trump related, just based on all this, like, and I hate using the word, but all the snowflake material that we have.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he already had a blast with that when it came to like the whole "you get a trophy" conversation. Because I remember one of his last like specials where he had a good bit on that.
You get a trophy, and you get a trophy.
Like, for example, can you imagine Carlin talking about the 40 different genders now?
Oh man.
Oh my god.
It wouldn't end.
That would literally be his whole special. He need what, like, Chappelle has 2 specials. He needs like 10 different specials for 10 different topics now.
Yeah.
Didn't Chappelle just recently do a new special?
Yeah, he did. He just released, I think, 2 more.
I need to go watch him.
So do I. Because apparently he takes a couple good shots with the whole Weinstein stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I think he's in the boat that a lot of people are. I don't know the specific comment, but I mean, I'm sure that he's probably from the standpoint as a guy who also was able to get out of Hollywood for a while and then come back on his own terms.
Yeah.
That he's probably in the boat of, why are we all pretending that, we all just learned about this now? You guys have all known. It's like everybody's taking good shots at Oprah right now, for example, because Oprah's been like a big part of doing charity work and all this stuff with Weinstein. Like, she's always been around that. It's just the knowledge of like, yeah, sure, all this bad stuff happened, but I don't know what's worse, the fact that it happened or the fact that so many people probably knew and did fuck all because it would they would lose their career otherwise.
Well, that's the thing. Before she became big, it was happening to her.
Yeah, no, but I mean in the sense of like when she would be hanging out with Weinstein while like she had this fucking like mega corporation that she has now.
Yeah.
We have like so many people that are like that now, where it's like you knew and you didn't say anything. Like, you're not even in a place where you're not like an extra on the set. You're a fucking star. Like, people would parade you for that.
Yeah. Like Ashley Judd.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, for example, I didn't watch any of the Golden I was going to say Golden Globes. I'm like, holy crap. This is what happens when you talk for an hour and a half and you've only had like a couple sips of water. I probably should have drank more, so my friggin' goddamn phlegm in my mouth now.
Yeah, I probably should have drank something at all.
See, I've at least learned not to drink like not like pop or anything, because pop will just make you like legitimately like sticky mouthy the rest of the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm like that with most anything I drink.
But like I had zero interest in watching the Golden Globes because I knew what it would be. It would literally be of Me Too. And as much as I support the movement, I don't need to be having that shoved down my throat for that amount of time. It's the same reason why I didn't watch the year before with the whole Black People Act 2 kind of stuff. Like, again, like I know and I support that movement, but I don't need that to hear about that the entire time. Like, I'd rather just enjoy something. Yeah. It's the same. Like, I don't know. Like, are either you NFL guys?
No.
I'm a movie person, but I know, and I support what they're saying. I just ask that they be respectful, and they are taking a knee and being quiet and not rowdy or anything. They're just taking a knee.
I just agree with the argument that some people are making. It's like, I come to sports to get away from politics. Why am I now getting politics in my sports?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same way. Like, I would not want to play, like, say, if Destiny 3 comes out and they start making Trump jokes. It's like, I don't need that shit in my video games. Video games to escape reality. I don't need to be reminded. And it's the same reason why, like, there are so many things right now that are annoying me. Like the Golden Globes, I can't watch award shows anymore because it's just politics. I watched the new Star Wars and I can't look past it because it has politics in it now. Ghostbusters I couldn't enjoy because of the politics behind it. Like, there's so much stuff now that I can't just enjoy something without everybody making a fuss about it. Like, I still enjoyed X-Men Apocalypse, but I had to deal with all the shit because of that poster where Mystique was getting choked by Apocalypse. Like, everything now seems to get ruined in some aspect. You can't just enjoy fiction anymore.
Okay.
Unless it's 50 Shades of Grey, then it's okay.
But you just put a visual in my head. Substitute Callus and put Trump's head on him.
Nobody would have a problem with this.
I don't know. Does Callus think we all come from shithole planets? Actually, you know what? You know what? He probably does, because he literally just has a ship that eats them like they're nothing. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it's why I'm glad there are at least a number of games out there that we can still go to, like Nier, that just does, or South Park, for example. Like, those two games alone, like, they don't give two fucks. It's taboo. It's why
they don't give a fuck.
It's why I think it's why I've also become so attracted to Japan right now. Is because they don't have taboos like we do here in North America. They're like, you know what? Let's make an entire anime. Like, if anybody knows Keijo, let's make an anime that's literally just like the pool game from DOA Beach Volleyball, where they just hit each other with their butts and knock each other off a raft into a pool. Let's make an entire 12 episode anime on that, and it's amazing. It's actually good. It's not just what you expect from it.
Wow.
But like, Japan literally just sits there and has that idea, or let's just take 3 girls at the age of 13, put them behind a death metal band and make them sing. Man. And that ends up being good.
Baby metal's fantastic.
Yeah. Japan's just like, let's just, no idea. Japan has like the Saints Row ideology. No idea is a bad idea.
Not a bad way of looking at it sometimes.
Which, speaking of, holy crap, do I want a Saints Row 5, because Agents of Mayhem failed so badly.
I mean,
I really hope Agents of Mayhem didn't really screw up Volition to the point that they can't make any more games. I'm kind of worried because of how badly the sales for that game have gone.
I've kind of been done with Saints Row since the end of 3. Like, I beat 4, but I wanted to perfect that game. But it's just get 1,000 kills with all the guns.
Well, yeah, if you're looking for achievements, it's a little different. But I think just from a fun standpoint, like, I love Saints Row because it's more absurd than most games that we get, where they're, especially in this day and age where everything has to be this dramatic narrative now.
Yeah, they were fun, but I think overall I'd much rather play 3 than 4, and then I just never gave a shot to 5 or Get Out of Hell.
Well, Get Out of Hell was I didn't really, there wasn't much to it, but I think that was kind of when they were out of ideas at that point. They needed to take a break, and they did, made Agents of Mayhem, and we see how that went. Not very well. So, like, I think I'm at a point, and I don't know how you guys feel, where I think too many games now are just trying to be, like, too real. Games are trying to be too realistic now. Like, not in the sense of graphics, but in the sense of, like, too relatable to real life.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the issue as well.
I think it's also indicative of like so many games are now zombie games. So much is based in real life that you're just like you're skewing it just a little bit. Not to mention that we have all this push right now for all these like inclusive, narratives where everybody feels like, they can relate to it. Like I liked Firewatch, but I don't think Firewatch was necessarily something that needed to be around.
Yeah, that was a game that I wanted to play but couldn't justify paying for.
Yeah, like after playing it, I couldn't. I really could never justify to somebody the $25 I spent on it, which is why I was happy to get Gone Home for free. And while I'm still waiting for Tacoma, the follow up to Gone Home, I'm waiting for that to like drop even further in price. Like Steam had it on for I think like $15, and I still looked at it and went, "Nah, I can't do it." That there are games coming out there that have good stories and good narratives, but I'm playing. If I really wanted to see a good narrative, I could just spend 2 hours watching a movie rather than playing a 3-hour game that's just walking around.
I get more into movies now than I do games at times. Like I like to be when I play games. Typically, I get pulled away from anything else around me. Like I don't use my phone a whole lot. It's a lot better when you can actually sit down and focus on something.
It probably depends on the type of game too, because I mean, I think I would rather play like an intense sci-fi shooter than watch, say, I don't know, like just any random sci-fi movie. Because at least then there's the action, like because a lot of times with action movies, like just because they have a really fast camera moving around doesn't necessarily get you into the action. It's more just for me with movies, it's more story based that I'm interested in. I'd rather not. It's why comedies tend to be my big thing. I love comedies more than anything else.
Oh, did you ever watch that movie Red? Or Red?
Oh, what the? Oh yeah, with Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never watched the second one, but I did watch the first one. I really liked it.
Second one was just as good, if not better.
It's why right now I'm trying to. I need to get around to watching the second Kingsman for the same kind of reasons that it's such a good action movie with people you wouldn't expect a good action movie out of.
I want to see the second Kingsman. I do like the first one.
So much to like. Like it gave me a reason to actually like Colin Firth because the last movie I'd seen him in before that was The King's Speech, and that's probably one of the worst movies I've ever watched.
Oh really?
I hated that movie. Mind you, I hate most Oscar-winning movies. I think I did a count, and I think I got less than 10 movies of all the Best Picture winners that I've ever actually liked.
I didn't mind The King's Speech, but it's definitely not something I would pick up myself and say, I'm going to watch this more than once.
Well, I think the problem too is that I don't know if it's necessarily an age thing. I think it's just more like my tastes just aren't a critic's taste. Because I'm not very much of an art guy. Like I don't care too much for musicals, for artwork, for anything like that sort of thing. So stuff that's more of a critic's favorite, generally speaking, they don't end up suiting with me very well because I don't have that eye.
Yeah.
Stuff like La La Land and stuff like that. Like I just can't do it.
Well, see, I like a movie to make you think, and it entertains you, and it keeps you moving. I mean, it's like making you think and kind of like go with the movie as far as where they're going with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the boat realistically that
if drama, it could be any of that, but if it makes me think, it makes me, want to be invested in what the plot is going to. That's a movie for me. Even if it doesn't win any awards or anything, I like for what it does to me or how it impacts me while I'm watching it.
Yeah. Because I mean, my basic.
That's it.
My basic thing is just going like, if I walk out with a smile, I'm happy. Like that's it.
Yep.
And I mean, it's frustrating in the sense that you will never see like I'll never get to see like Deadpool, which I thought was like one of the funniest movies I've ever watched. Like that will never get any sort of recognition because obviously Birdman is gonna pop up as being something really good. And I was okay with Birdman, but like man, like there are a lot of movies that get popped up for these awards, and I literally sit there watching some of them. And I go, how did even anybody enjoy this? Like, I can't even find reasons to like it from like an outsider point of view.
I haven't watched Birdman, so I can't comment on that.
Like one of the ones that I actually did really enjoy was Sully, the one about that airplane pilot that crashed into the Boston River.
Uh,
Like that one was actually pretty good, but then again, Tom Hanks is pretty good in most things that he's in. So,
Yeah.
like there are movies here and there that do get the Best Picture nominees and sometimes even win. Like one of my favorite movies of all time won Best Picture, and that's Silence of the Lambs.
That was a great movie.
Like you also got like obviously you got The Godfathers; those are classics.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna pull up even the Best Picture list. See, because I think Forrest Gump was one of them, which a lot of people still think probably shouldn't have won anyway.
Wow.
well, I mean, that's a movie that's been berated into my mind all through like high school and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there was a touching moment, and people don't. I'm speaking of experience. My son is autistic. Okay. Now he grew up this whole time in my life, and I'm seeing his how would you say, his growth throughout his life. And when Forrest Gump comes and finds out that he has his own son, you know, the first thing out of his mouth is, you know, he wants to know, he's hoping that his son is not like him.
Yeah.
And you don't want anything to be you want everything great for your kids. And that was the first thing, is him acting as a father. And I was just like, that was one of those things that you grabs your heart and says, okay, you know what it's like to be a dad.
Yeah.
Just by having those feelings like that. So to me, it was a very good movie. I mean, it was funny, hilarious, took history and kind of like blended it in with it. I thought it was a great movie.
There's some good movies in that. Like the other nominees, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Quiz Show, but the two big ones that I can note are Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption. Like that's some pretty good company there.
Yeah, those were great movies.
But like I'm looking
to rewatch Pulp Fiction.
Like I'm looking at the list, and the last one that I can like definitively say that I really liked is Forrest Gump in '94. Like I kind of like The Departed from '06. Crash was okay. $1 Million Baby was okay, but like if you really have to go back, for me, you have to go back to '94 to something that I like legitimately like. I'm even gonna look like what movies got snubbed that I would have wanted to see get the award. I mean, I guess the, you know, obviously The Martian and Mad Max for 2015, but let's be honest, Mad Max getting a nominee is like the biggest win possible.
Actually, I never watched either of those movies.
As I look further, Wolf of Wall Street's in 2013. I really like that movie.
That was a pretty good movie. It takes a while to get into. You have to be ready to watch it.
Well, you basically have to turn your brain off and realize these are all terrible people. I know they're all terrible people. Let's not try to get attached. Django got nominated in 2012.
Yeah.
I still have to watch Moneyball. Shit, that just reminded me. I have never watched Moneyball yet.
Really?
Is Wolf of Wall Street the one where he takes the Quaaludes and then drives the...
Yeah.
That scene's fucking hilarious to me.
Coming out today with the whole thing like about like abuse and stuff, because like that scene where he smacks the crap out of Margot Robbie, like even that's uncomfortable then before we really got into this uncomfortableness for anything now. Oof. Yeah, like there's a lot of awards that get, especially now that they upgraded to 10 nominees, like a lot more movies that we normally wouldn't, or I guess now it's 8, but a lot more movies that normally wouldn't have gotten the look, they at least get a chance now. Like they at least get the recognition. Like there's no way that Inception would have gotten, or Toy Story 3 like never get nominated, because they're not those kinds of movies for critics. Like they're I hate the word, but they're common folk movie. And it's why for another year, I look at everything that's coming out this year that they're nominating, and it's like, that's another Academy Award show that I don't need to watch. I end up getting roped into watching last year's, and they did the whole thing. It's like, okay, pick the winners. I had no idea what like 90% of the movies were, so I guessed everything. I only won one award, and it was Best Musical, which was a shoo-in if you understood that La La Land was like the one musical that was getting award nominations. Everything else wrong. I couldn't even get like the CG ones right because I didn't think Suicide Squad was capable of winning anything.
That was a good movie.
I don't think I watched that one either.
More time for each of the characters to build themselves in it.
Like a lot of people really give Suicide Squad shit. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's okay for what it was supposed to be.
Well, if they could have gave more time for each of the characters to build themselves up into it, I mean, they had a bunch of rock stars, and the thing is having so many rock stars, you got to give them each time to build themselves up into it. Now, Will Smith had more time, and what's her name, Margot?
Yeah, Margot Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, they had enough time in the movie to build themselves up.
Did Margot Robbie actually have that much time, or did her ass in those shorts have a lot of time?
To me, they're one and the same. They was gorgeous. But they had more time as far as building their
like Will Smith isn't going to come onto a movie if he's not getting some screen time.
Well, that movie with Blight. Did you see that yet?
No, I haven't.
If you look at it and not worry about the how would you say, the graphics of it, to me there was a lot of thought in the movie because it made you think about prejudice.
Yeah.
And how society and how statue of where you're at and where you live and where you come from and who you are makes you a different person. Mm-hmm. Which, Will Smith was almost like the redneck bigot. But the thing of it is, there was a reason why he was in that character mode at the time. And it throughout the whole movie, it takes you to understand why he was like that. And then at the end, it became to the point where, he's not like that anymore. He's more the humble guy that started out as a police officer and wanted to do good for the community.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. It's interesting.
It sounds like something I should check out.
It was good. I liked it. And there was some action and there was some drama, but it was just interesting to how they dealt with the turmoil that was going on around them.
Yeah. So as somebody who watched Suicide Squad, do you think a lot of why, like going back to it, do you think a big reason why a lot of people just got really upset is because they really wanted to see more Joker because they were still not over the whole Heath Ledger was the greatest Joker ever. Now the Joker's the best character in all of comic fandom.
Okay, let me take you one step further than that. If you look at each of the Jokers, and I'm starting with Romano, I think it was Romano, Cesar Romano.
Yeah, Cesar Romano.
Okay, and then you had Jack Nicholson.
Or was it Cesar Romano or Cesar Romero?
Cesar Romero, thank you. Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, and then this guy.
Hey, can't forget Mark Hamill in the cartoons.
Oh, yes, exactly. But if you look at each one of them individually, as if you never seen the other ones before, they did a great job.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's ever been a bad Joker. Like a lot of people give Jared Leto shit, but I don't think he was a bad Joker. He was just a different Joker that we haven't seen.
Exactly. And Heath Ledger did his own version of it as well. And he fit it for himself as the character. And he did a great job.
And that also came from like when we were so used to the cartoons where Joker was always like this like happy-go-lucky like trickster. Heath Ledger gave us like the creepiest fucking thing we've ever seen with the Joker.
The darkest version. Right.
Like granted, the comics when they get darker, we obviously see that very menacing like maniac like murderous Joker, but I mean this is the first time we'd seen it on like the big screen.
Exactly. And he owned it.
Well, fuck, he lived. If you hear what he did to himself, he lived it.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I just felt bad for him on that part because, Elvis died the same way, doing uppers and downers and trying to get sleep and trying to stay awake.
Yeah.
You can't do both. I have another question. How is Christian Bale alive?
Oh yeah, because like some of the roles that he's done, like what was the one that you got like stupid skinny for?
Fuck. I don't know the name of it.
I keep forgetting if it's The Pianist or if I'm mixing it up with another movie.
I don't off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a laptop is for. Come on, Wiki, help me out here.
I mean, just what he does cannot be healthy, but it's amazing that he can do it.
And
Oh, The Machinist.
Yeah, The Machinist. You were close to the piano.
Well, The Pianist is kind of like the same thing, but it's just a different actor.
Yeah.
Because it was...
He went straight from Batman to that, right?
Because who is The Pianist? It was... Adrian Brody. Yeah, that's why. That's why I'm mixing it up. And they're not even that similar. They're quite similar looking too.
No, I thought he did a couple of other movies before he did that.
Well, he had a couple like Christian Bale. Yeah, he had a couple before.
Yeah, but
let me go back to that again. Let's see. What did he do before that? American Psycho, obviously.
yeah.
Apparently he was in most of these I've never watched or I've never seen it. Remember him, and he's apparently was in Shaft, Reign of Fire, Summer's Night Dream, and then there's a lot of others. Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff here.
Okay. But now Batman's another thing. You know, you look at all the different Batmans that we had. You know, Michael Keaton was a Batman. George Clooney.
Who?
George Clooney.
Who? I've forgotten. Who is that person that did Batman? I've forgotten that. I think that part might have gotten like rewritten. Like the code in my brain might have gotten like rewritten to forget that or repress that memory.
Yeah. But I mean,
whenever my brain like tries to search George Clooney Batman, I just get nipples for some reason.
But I mean, even the Batmans did their own thing. And, you know, don't get me wrong, George Clooney wasn't the best, but he still owned it in that version.
He was Playboy Batman. That's literally what George Clooney was.
A lot of the issue is when people change actors and stuff throughout series, people always compare them to the others and don't actually see them for what they're actually playing, and that's a lot of the issue there.
Oh yeah, you know that's going to happen when the next round of Avengers cast comes out.
Oh man.
The next Captain America. Oh, actually, you know what? Not even fuck Captain America. The next Iron Man, people are going to be so pissed about.
Yeah, I take it for the entertainment of the person that's doing it at the time, and that's why I enjoy them when they did it.
Well, it's like I was really happy because I kept telling people when Batman vs Superman was coming, because everybody's like, "Oh, fucking Ben Affleck." I'm like, dude, I don't think you understand how much of a comic book geek Ben Affleck is. Ben Affleck's not going to intentionally fuck up Batman.
Yeah, and I thought he did.
Like people, there are still people that are like they're like, he didn't do that well. But most of my friends are like, you know what, he actually did a pretty good Batman. The movie still wasn't that good, but he was still a pretty good Batman.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, I don't think there's been a better Bruce Wayne than Ben Affleck.
You had George Clooney now. No.
Yeah, but was that really Bruce Wayne or was that Hugh Hefner? That was basically Hugh Hefner in a Batman costume. So. But it's always been like that with movies. I mean, actually, anything in general with properties, like even in gaming, if a voice actor changes, like a lot of people are not happy with Life is Strange because it's so weird without having oh my god, what's her name? The girl that plays Chloe. It's Ashley something. But the girl who does Hey Ash, What You Playing? Like she was the one that did the original voice acting for Chloe in the first game, and now that the second game's out and it's not her, people are like, it bothers the crap out of them. And that's not necessarily indicative on the person doing the voice acting, but it's just because they're so accustomed to it.
Well, just like when they changed the voice for the D1.
Oh yeah, from Peter Dinklage to Nolan North.
I think a lot of people were okay with that one though, because Peter Dinklage really did sound so like he didn't want to be there.
I like Peter Dinklage though. That was nice. I really enjoyed the way
I know people make the comparison that, you know, it's a robot, it's not supposed to sound like really funny. I'm like, yeah, but even if that were true, like it's even trying to be monotone, he still sounded like he hated being there.
I also miss being able to call him Dinklebot.
Yeah, Nolan Bot just doesn't have the same ring to it. Although I will admit, I can't imagine Peter Dinklage saying the line, "I don't think Tolan was ever fun at parties" in his voice, because he would sound even more boring than Tolan.
I do think, in his defense, though, he made a pretty damn good decision.
Well, no, to sign on, like he saw where that was going. Like the first game that's being made by the guys who made Halo, who wouldn't want to be on that?
Yeah, but then he's got such a better opportunity with him now.
Yeah. I mean, you can never complain with Nolan North. Nolan North is just a legend in voice acting, though. I don't even like the Uncharted series, and I love him as Nathan Drake.
Nathan Drake. Really? He did that voice too?
At least I think. I hope I'm not mixing that up. I need to now check that, make sure that I'm not crazy.
Yeah, maybe you should check that.
I'm afraid, because Uncharted's that's real heavy things for him.
Yeah, I played the first 3 games. I enjoyed those games. That was fun.
Yeah,
See, I'm trying to scroll and find it, and because he's done so much shit, it's being a pain in the ass. Okay, yes, he did. Okay, I'm good.
You're not dumb yet.
But man, just video games alone, the list is ridiculous. Holy crap.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't the guy that
He was in 4 games of all of last year. He was in 5 games in 2016. 2015 is not so. There it goes. It's at least 10 things in 2015.
You think he's
another
just
10 things?
figure himself out?
No, I think it's just because everybody knows who he is, so he just ends up being the guy you call. It's like how in anime, Johnny Young Bosch, the guy who used to play one of the Power Rangers, he gets so much work because he's done just 500 anime series.
The guy that does cartoon voices is the same though, where he's just done so many different characters.
And that's the thing. Once you get a certain amount of rapport, eventually you just become top of the list. So you usually just end up accepting any role, right?
Yeah, I mean,
especially if you've got zero shame, you just take everything you get. Oh, apparently Nolan North was the Penguin in Arkham Knight. Did not know that.
Really?
It's thunder and heavy outside. Jesus.
Oh, so okay, so he was Penguin. Period. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at all these things. I never pay attention to credits, so I don't know who plays half the people.
Yeah.
I sometimes
as I'm looking,
voices, but typically,
as I'm looking down, he was Desmond Miles. I don't know if that's in every Assassin's Creed game, but it's at least in Black Flag as I'm scrolling. He was. He was Desmond Miles in all those games. He was also. He was the voice of Zod in Injustice. Geez, the amount of games, the amount of work you get and that kind of stuff. Holy fuck.
Wow.
The counts alone are just insane. That's the thing, though. It's also nice to have that familiarity because at least if you see names like Nolan North attached to something, you're like, okay, so they've at least put some sort of amount of budget on this to make it somewhat okay.
That's another thing I like is when games they take the time to research and get things correct.
Well, even the little thing, Reddit right now was earlier today was going nuts because the dungeons in Assassin's Creed Origins, they don't just go dim when your torch goes out; they're pitch black.
Yeah,
just little details like that. Because as we know, even with you play Minecraft, you can still see something even if it's pitch black.
Yeah, it's not easy sometimes. You just jack your gamma up and you're fine.
Well, I was gonna say, to be fair, when I was playing on 360, I jacked the gamma up because I was not dealing with that shit.
I keep mine 75 at this point, but that's still more than it's needed.
Oh man. Well, we're not at 2 hours exactly because we started later, but do you guys got anything left? Because I think we're getting close to a point that's maybe we should shut her down. We're almost at 2 hours.
Yeah, I was thinking we're probably gonna head out here shortly anyway because it sounds like we're gonna have a storm.
Well, I don't think me and Shaggy need to get into another crazy 30-minute conversation about college again. So
yeah.
I listened back to that thing. I'm like, holy crap, we spent a lot of time on that subject.
I don't even remember what it was about.
But like, I think it just because I started talking about like me going into television.
Oh yeah.
And then we just we carried on from there, because the way that we work with tangents is once we like, you give us like 2 words and we're like, what? 5 minutes of story time? You got it.
That's how it works. I'm not great at talking, but sometimes I can't stop talking.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've learned, especially in the last like 10 years since I really opened up, because I was really, really introverted through like early stages of high school. I always joke that because I never talked a lot between the ages of like 4 and 13, that by the time I hit like 14 and then got up, like I just had so much extra talking that I needed to do to balance out.
Yeah.
Especially through doing like presentations and stuff in college, that I can bullshit like there's no tomorrow. Like if it's like one of those projects where you have to stand up and you have to talk for at least 20 minutes, for example, we'd all be like, man, we only have like 10 minutes worth of stuff. And I would just look at them and be like, just let me do the talking and I can fill in 10 minutes before anybody even realized that it's over.
Let's just go into politics and just repeal everything that somebody wants to keep and just filibuster as long as possible.
No, what I find is that what I'm really good at doing is I'm just good at taking examples and just throwing them into things. So I can just take from something and spend 2 minutes on that. Like I did, I had to do a presentation way early on the whole gender, like between female characters not being in video games as lead characters very often. And I only really had like 5 minutes worth of bullet points, and I managed to do that for half an hour, because all it takes is for me to get one little bit of subject, and I can pull out like 5 examples and give you background, give you like reactions to it, and I can just go. Like all you need to do is just give me just cliff notes, and I can just go with something.
Yeah. Fortunately, that's how it is for some people.
Well, it's crazy because for some people, like, for example, my girlfriend would attest that she's terrible for this, is that when she tells a story, she spends too much time on the minor details and rambles, whereas I can just get through in and out of something quickly and then go into something else. Like I'm just go on everything, whereas she can stick on like a very small detail for 5 minutes.
That's too funny. That's interesting because I have stage fright, basically. Getting in front of people, I clamor up.
Yeah.
But that's the
I
reason.
used to.
In the military, I became a first sergeant. And one of the first things you have to do is actually stand in front of like anywhere from 50 to 900 people and give them a lecture.
Yeah.
And it scared me to death each time I go up there, because every time I go up on stage or do these announcements and stuff, I don't know what I'm saying. I really go blank and I don't know what I'm saying, but I already know what I had to say. And so when I get down, I have someone on the side that's going to tell me whether I got everything out there that I needed to say and whether it was coherent. So I always had a friend off to the side to just give me a heads up if I did anything wrong. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, no, you did great. Half the time, I wouldn't even know what I said.
I found that when I got into grade 11 and 12, what happened is that at the time I was really starting to get in, because I was learning guitar since 13, and they started pushing me into a rock band program, which is what they do is they would take a couple of guitar kids, they take one of the vocal kids, and they take sometimes a piano kid, and a drummer kid, of course, because rock without drums is kind of a little boring.
Yeah,
and they throw you together and you play 2 songs and you do these things. You do like maybe 3 events all year. Like you do a major competition in the summer, a major competition in the winter, and they do like some random thing somewhere in between where it was just like a show where all the kids would get together and do like all these random performances. And our singer, the second time around, like our first singer was a very like punk rock chick. She was very comfortable on stage. I was always like the kind of kid that would stay in the background. And the second girl, when we got one, she was very like, when she sang, like she didn't pay attention to much else. But once the song was over, she didn't know what to do. It ended up becoming somebody else's job to do like introducing who the band was and all this stuff, and like do the in-betweens. And nobody knew what to do. So the first time we ever performed at an actual competition, nobody was doing anything. So for like 10 seconds, we were like, there's kind of this just silence. And I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, just something snapped into my brain, and I just lunged forward to the mic and just went. And I'd never done that. And I think it was not because it was never stage fright. I think it was just because I never felt like I had an opportunity to do it. And I just saw it, and I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? It's a competition where it's just parents and other kids. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Nobody's going to remember a thing. There's 8 other bands after us. Who gives a shit? And I found that ever since, and especially when I did an actual band where I did a punk band in a punk bar while I was 16, where they'll eat you the fuck alive if you're not very good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what it is. And it's kind of the same way when I'm in character, when I'm doing like my blogs or my videos. Like right now, what I'm doing here is not so much a character. It's more just me talking, but however, I don't know how to explain it, but just if I need to be, I can flip a switch and my character is completely out the window. When I'm on stage, for example, with music, in person, I'm almost like the devil incarnate of my own person. I'm very loud. I'm very obnoxious. I scream and I get apparently like the first show I ever went to, like one of my friends said, you literally look like you were going to leap into the audience and grab somebody by the collar of their shirt and drag them up on stage and saying, have some fucking fun.
Your other personas.
Well, you can't always be the kid that just sits there and watch anime all day. You got to do something else. You got to at least show that you can do something.
Cool.
But yeah. And it's kind of the thing too. Like it's why I do enjoy doing stuff like this podcast here, where it's a chance just to kind of let stuff out. Because normally, what a lot of us are probably doing most of the time is we stick to ourselves. You know, we're just playing our games or we're watching our shit and whatever else, and we don't really say much. What I always say is, like, I would rather talk about nothing than to just do nothing. Because at the very least, you get some sort of social satisfaction, or in the case of, like, if I debate somebody on things, I get informational satisfaction, or in the case of just me being on stage, I just get just a surge of any sort of emotional satisfaction out of it, because at least it's me getting to be something either I'm not, or just to be me in a place where I don't normally get to do so.
I get it.
But yeah. No, it's just cool. It's cool not just being, you know, any other random person that just sits around and does nothing. Like even if what I do, like say with this show, like we only ever get 50 views by the time that we hit like a full month in this video. Who cares? The fact that somebody listened, to me, that's just cool in itself.
Yeah.
And the fact that I get to chat with you guys, especially now that we're doing stuff like this rather than just being in the chat. Now that I get to hear and have these conversations, that's why I enjoy party chat. Even when I'm not doing anything, I'm happy to jump in party chats and just shoot the shit, because you don't get to do it very often, especially back in the day, because we all grew up. The only time we ever got to talk with people for video games was at house parties, and those happen like once every couple of months usually. You never rarely got like a big group together and just shot the shit about games. Now we can do it any time of the day, anytime we want.
Especially me. Book guy, I work with him, and we got probably, was it three other guys that play Destiny 2 in our work, and sit at the lunch table. We just do all kinds of, hey, what happened last night, or what y'all do there, or how do you take down this one, or what did you do in this scenario?
I thought it was just going to be hours of fucking Rahul.
That was D1 for me. Cool.
That was early D1, where it was just, oh, what's that, a purple engram? Green gun.
Yeah.
You just had to love it. Because, I mean, you were
So
kind of
what are you talking about? Those are good times.
That's the only reason anyone did that glitch, is because you couldn't get a damn thing.
Yeah, no, I would have lost like 100 hours to loot caving if they had just done it properly. But yeah, it's just super sweet. You know, we're now living in an age where we don't have to worry about being in this like nerd clique where there's like 4 of you at the lunch table apart from everybody else. Now everybody's a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, anybody got anything else to add?
No, I'm good.
You got anything, Sarge?
Nope. Good night.
All right, man. Well, thanks guys for showing up. That was another good, strong episode. I think we'll probably not be banned yet. Maybe episode 3. Episode 3 will be the ban hammer. 3rd time's the charm.
We can always get some special guests in here.
So thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. So hopefully I get to go home, and by I get to go home, I mean I'm just gonna stay home and not like freeze my ass off because it's apparently minus 15 now plus the wind chill, and I'm like, it was literally summer weather like 2 days ago.
Wow.
Fuck that. But yeah, another long episode in the books, and I'll see you guys. Well, I'll probably see Shaggy in about 5 minutes if he's 6 in the PS4 party. I'll see him again.
Yeah, I'll probably be somewhere.
But yeah, thanks for coming in, Sarge, and hopefully we'll get you on another show.
Sounds good. And that's what I'm getting.
All right.
Back on D4 or D2.
Yeah, man. All right. You guys all stay classy.
Likewise.